Welcome back to the channel Old Coins Value. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most fascinating and unbelievable stories in the world of rare coins. A simple-looking 1990D one-dime coin from the United States of America that normally carries a face value of just 10 cents, but has been reported and believed in some collector circles to have a staggering potential value of up to $22 million due to its errors, mint mark issues, striking anomalies, and the mysterious circumstances surrounding its rarity. And while it might sound unbelievable at first, the journey into understanding why such a coin could ever command such a price is what makes coin collecting such an addictive and thrilling hobby, because the difference between pocket change and a life-changing fortune can rest on the tiniest of details hidden in the surface of the coin. So let us dive deep into this story, starting from the basics of what the 1990D dime actually is, because the dime is a 10-cent coin produced by the United States Mint and has been in circulation for many decades. And the 1990 issues were struck primarily at two mints: the Philadelphia Mint, which does not carry a mint mark, and the Denver Mint, which carries the familiar D mint mark, and millions upon millions of these coins were produced. But among them, collectors and researchers have identified certain pieces that exhibit extraordinary mistakes, such as double dies where the design looks like it was struck twice, off-center strikes where the images and lettering are shifted visibly to one side, missing mint marks where the D is absent entirely, wrong planchet errors where the coin was accidentally struck on a blank mint for another denomination, broad strikes where the collar failed and caused the coin to spread wider than normal, or even transitional errors where a coin was struck with metal composition not intended for that year. And these types of mistakes are the very reason some coins that appear ordinary at first glance become extremely valuable over time. And the 1990D dime has been surrounded by rumors and reports of specimens that have such incredible anomalies that experts and enthusiasts claim a single example sold or was valued at $22 million, which is an astronomical number compared to its 10-cent face value and highlights the power of rarity, error significance, and collector demand. But in order to truly appreciate why this coin could command such a number, we need to look into the world of minting technology, because when a coin is made, a blank disc called a planchet is fed into a press where a die bearing the coin's design strikes it under tons of pressure. And if the die is slightly misaligned, or if debris interferes with the process, an error can occur. And while the mint has strict quality control, some errors escape into circulation. And collectors cherish these because they represent something unique, something not supposed to exist. And in the case of the 1990D dime, one of the most famous error possibilities is the missing mint mark error, because while 1990 saw dimes produced with D for Denver and none for Philadelphia, a few were reportedly struck without the D despite being minted in Denver, creating a very rare and intriguing variety. And adding to that intrigue are rumors that certain 1990D dimes were struck on experimental planchets with unusual compositions or weights, making them distinct from all others. And such distinctiveness is what collectors crave, because in numismatics the value is not just about age, but about rarity, condition, error type, and demand. And if we consider that among hundreds of millions of ordinary dimes, only one or two might exist with a spectacular one-of-a-kind error, then the laws of supply and demand can skyrocket their value into unimaginable figures. And this is why stories circulate about collectors or auctions where an otherwise regular dime suddenly shocks the world with its hammer price. And when we think about it, coins like the 1990D dime serve as treasures hidden in plain sight, a reminder that everyday money can hold mysteries worth fortunes. And when people hear that a 10-cent coin could be worth $22 million, it creates a sense of wonder that drives more and more people to start checking their change, opening old jars of coins, and exploring the fascinating hobby of coin collecting. Because every coin has a story, and some stories, like that of the 1990D dime, are so extraordinary that they almost feel legendary. Yet the logic of rarity, uniqueness, and desirability underpins their high valuations. And when examining the factors that contribute to the supposed $22 million valuation, we have to include the grade or condition of the coin as determined by professional grading services. Because a high mint state grade with full original luster can increase the value of an error coin many times over. And we also consider provenance, meaning who owned it before, because if a coin was part of a famous collection or has been studied by experts, it gains historical weight. And finally, we must consider hype and demand, because in a world where collectors compete fiercely to own the most unique specimens, prices can soar beyond traditional estimates. And the 1990 D dime sits at the center of all these factors. Its tale reinforced by the mystery of how such an error escaped the mint and why so few examples are known. And while some skeptics might doubt the $22 million claim, the fact remains that error coins like this are capable of shocking results at auction, and therefore it is not impossible. And that is why this coin continues to capture imaginations worldwide. And as we talk about the possibilities, it is worth remembering that the journey into coins teaches us patience, detail observation, and appreciation for history. Because behind every mint mark and every strike lies a tale of technology, human error, and chance. And the 1990 D dime is a symbol of how something so small can represent such enormous value. So as we wrap up this incredible discussion, remember to always check your change carefully, because who knows, maybe sitting unnoticed in a drawer or jar is a coin that could change your life. And that possibility is what keeps collectors excited and what makes the story of the 1990 D dime worth telling again and again. And with that, I thank you all for joining today's exploration into the legendary 1990 D dime that turned from a 10-cent piece into a potential $22 million fortune because of errors, mistakes, and mint mark mysteries that prove how extraordinary the world of coins truly is. And if you love stories like this, make sure to keep exploring and never stop learning, because the next coin you find might be worth far more than you can imagine. We dive deep into one of the most fascinating and mysterious stories in the entire world of rare coins. The legendary 1991 P1 dime from the United States of America that has gained worldwide attention not because of its small 10-cent face value, but because of its incredible rarity, unusual features, and extraordinary errors that have turned what was once just an everyday piece of pocket change into an astonishing collector's treasure valued by some at nearly $23 million. A staggering figure when you think about the fact that millions of these dimes were produced in the Philadelphia Mint during that year and circulated in ordinary commerce, passing through countless hands without anyone realizing that among them could exist an elusive mistake coin that defies all normal expectations. And today we're going to explore every possibility, every error type, every theory, and every numismatic curiosity that makes this coin so highly sought after. Because when you consider why a coin worth 10 cents suddenly becomes worth millions, it all boils down to its errors, minting mistakes, and unusual variations that separate it from the ordinary examples that you and I might see every day. And so the journey begins with the basic understanding of the 1991 dime itself, which features President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse side, a design that has been used since 1946 to honor him after his passing. And on the reverse side, it carries the torch, olive branch, an oak branch which symbolize liberty, peace, and strength, a design so familiar to Americans that it hardly catches the eye. Yet within this routine production lies the possibility of fascinating mint errors, such as offsetter strikes, double strikes, broad strikes, misaligned dies, wrong planchet strikes, missing mint marks, repunched mint marks, die cracks, die clashes, and many other variations that coin collectors constantly search for. Because the U.S. Mint is a place of precision, but also of massive scale, producing billions of coins every year. And whenever human error, machinery wear, or oversight occurs, a rare mistake can slip into circulation, and if it remains undiscovered long enough, it can become the stuff of legend. And the 1991 P dime has become one of those legends, with whispers and rumors circulating in the numismatic community that a specific coin with unique characteristics, possibly involving its mint mark or a dramatic striking error, has been valued by experts and private collectors at that jaw-dropping figure of $23 million. And when you think about mint mark errors, especially the missing P or a doubled P, the possibilities are endless, because 1982 was the first year the Philadelphia Mint began adding the P mint mark on dimes. And any deviation from that practice in subsequent years becomes incredibly intriguing to collectors. So imagine finding a 1991 dime without a P mint mark or with a faint repunched mint mark or with a P that appears doubled, misplaced, or otherwise unusual. Such a discovery would ignite immense interest. And then consider other errors like a dime struck on a foreign planchet, such as being struck on a copper penny blank, a nickel blank, or even a planchet intended for another denomination, and you begin to realize that such an anomaly would be immediately recognized as rare because the weight, size, and color would differ, and collectors who specialize in error coins would fight to own such a piece, driving the value into astronomical territory. And the legend of the $23,001,991 P dime could very well be tied to such a phenomenon. Because when something is unique, one of a kind, or near impossible to replicate, its value is defined not by its metal content or face value, but by the demand of passionate collectors who understand its significance. And it is that rarity combined with the mystery of its error that makes this coin so captivating. And let's not forget die clashes. When the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between and then transfer part of their design into each other, producing ghostly outlines of the reverse torch on Roosevelt's portrait or vice versa, an eerie effect that increases value significantly. Or consider a major off-center strike where the coin is only partially struck with blank areas visible, something that can make a coin instantly more desirable. And then there are multiple strike errors. When a coin is struck twice or even 3 times, creating overlapping images that fascinate both casual viewers and expert collectors alike. And if one such error occurred on a 1991 P dime, it could very well be the $1,000,000 example we're speaking about today. And then there's the idea of transitional errors, coins struck with the wrong year's dies, or experimental planchets used during testing, or even coins struck with a proof die intended for collector sets but accidentally released into circulation. And when you combine all these possibilities, you start to understand why numismatics is filled with excitement. Because every coin in your pocket change could be hiding a secret, and the 1991 P dime is the poster child for that possibility. A coin that reminds us that even the smallest denomination can hold unimaginable value. And stories of coins like this inspire treasure hunts, with collectors carefully examining every dime they come across, hoping to stumble upon that life-changing discovery. And when you picture the journey of this dime, from the moment it was minted in Philadelphia, perhaps by accident struck slightly off, perhaps with a faint or missing mint mark, perhaps with a misaligned die, it then traveled unnoticed through banks, cash registers, vending machines, parking meters, and everyday transactions. And yet somewhere out, there is one that experts believe has errors so rare and dramatic that it has been appraised at $23 million. Some usually reserved for famous paintings or historic artifacts. And yet here we're talking about a 10-cent coin, and this raises another point about human fascination with rarity, because coins like this embody history, luck, accident, and precision all in one small metal disc. And the fact that errors are unintentional makes them even more desirable, because unlike regular mint products designed for collectors, error coins were never meant to exist, making each one an unplanned survivor of the minting process, and collectors thrive on this unpredictability, chasing after double dies, filled mint marks, rotated dies, clipped planchets, and off-metal strikes. So when you hear about the 1991 P dime being worth millions, it captures the imagination not only of seasoned numismatists, but also of everyday people who suddenly start checking their change, examining every dime with a magnifying glass, dreaming that maybe, just maybe, they hold in their hand the key to untold fortune. And that is why this story spreads across coin forums, collector communities, and even mainstream media, because the idea that a 10-cent coin could be valued at $23 million seems almost unbelievable, and yet it is rooted in the reality of error coins and the passionate market for them. So whether the specific coin involves a missing mint mark, a dramatic double strike, a unique off-metal planchet, or an experimental striking, its existence challenges us to pay attention to the details, because in numismatics, details are everything, and the smallest imperfection can be the difference between a coin worth face value and one worth millions. And so, as you continue watching, keep in mind that every dime you see has a story, and while most are ordinary, one out of billions might just be extraordinary, and the 1991 P1 dime valued at $23 million because of its errors, mistakes, and mint mark variations is a shining example of that extraordinary possibility that turns the ordinary into the legendary.